Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Peace and Dharma, a sanctuary where we explore the profound teachings of Buddhism. Each lesson and philosophy shared here is designed to guide you toward peace and wisdom, bringing you closer to truth and compassion. Amid the hustle and bustle of life, we often get caught up in worry, frustration, and desires that are hard to release. Deep down, we all long for serenity, a true haven for the soul amid the storm. But how can we attain this when the mind is restless, easily swept away by desires, anger, and competition? Today, let us delve into a marvelous practice taught by the Buddha known as the Five Contemplations for calming the mind. This method offers 5 golden keys to bring us back to ourselves, finding purity with every breath and meditation. It's more than just mindfulness practice, it's a profound lesson about our bodies and the nature of life itself. Each of us is like a precious gem, yet we are veiled in the dust of desire, anger, and ignorance. This dust accumulates through negative thoughts, unchecked ambitions, and petty obsessions. To cleanse ourselves of this, we need a method, wisdom, and patience. The 5 Contemplations for calming the mind serves as a way to purify the soul. This journey starts with returning to our breath, recognizing our transient bodies, extending compassion to all beings, understanding karma, and finally perceiving our ego, the root of all suffering. These practices are not distant theories but exercises we can apply daily to nurture the mind and create a life of tranquility and peace. Today's video will explore each method, starting with counting the breath, a way to concentrate the mind. We'll then move into observing impurity, helping us see the body's transient and impure nature, guiding us to release temporary desires. Following this, we practice cultivating compassion, directing loving kindness to all beings. Then comes contemplating interdependence, recognizing that all things are connected, with nothing existing independently. Finally, we arrive at recognizing the ego, understanding the essence of self and non-self, a key to liberation from suffering. Each contemplation is a doorway to the heart, helping us untangle the knots embedded over time. Let's embark on this journey together, exploring each method to understand our minds and lives more deeply. Perhaps you'll find answers to those lingering questions about peace and happiness. Though this journey doesn't promise instant miracles, it lights the path ahead, a road that, when traveled fully, leaves behind suffering, resentment, and reveals only serenity in each breath. Dear viewers, the first step on the journey of the 5 Contemplations for calming the mind is counting the breath, a practice that brings awareness to each breath. Breath is the bridge between body and mind, the natural rhythm of life. Yet, in the rush of modern living, few of us pay attention to our breath. We allow our minds to drift along countless thoughts, unaware of the peace that can be found in the simple act of breathing. Counting the breath is not merely about numbers, it's a way to return to oneself, to see the breath as proof of our presence in this moment. As we count, 1, 2, 3. We gradually let go of thoughts and worries, focusing entirely on the present breath. This is a precious moment, one where the mind no longer wanders to past or future. Try closing your eyes and focusing on your breath. Inhale and feel the cool air energizing every cell. Exhale and release all worries. Inhale once more, exhale. When we reach 10 and start again at 1, our minds settle like calm waters. This is the moment where the mind is undistracted, simply present with each breath. Counting the breath is the first door of the 5 Contemplations. When the mind calms through breathing, we are then alert and clear, ready to enter the next contemplation and dive deeper into recognizing the body, understanding the self, and releasing inner conflicts. The 5 Contemplations for calming the mind is not a distant journey. It's a path that leads back to oneself, back to each breath and each heartbeat. In each breath, we realize that we are alive, that every moment is precious and fleeting. Life is impermanent, and each breath is a reminder of our mortal nature. As our mind finds peace through counting the breath, we are prepared to move on to observing impurity, a practice that helps us understand the impermanent and impure nature of the body. But first, let us practice counting the breath until breath and mind become one. From there, we'll be free to delve into deeper contemplations, step by step, freeing ourselves from the entanglements of body and mind. Counting the breath binds the mind, preventing it from being led astray by external distractions or meaningless desires and worries. Each breath acts like a gentle stream, washing away fatigue and anxiety. Remember, when life feels overwhelming, simply return to the breath, and peace will be there. Counting the breath isn't just a meditation technique, it's a way of returning to oneself, listening to the breath of life, and remembering that we are alive amidst the hurry of life. This is the first step on the path to deeper, more profound contemplations, where we find true enlightenment within. We will continue our journey with the next contemplation, observing impurity, where we'll reflect on the body, look deeply into its true nature, and let go of fleeting desires. But first, let counting the breath steady the mind, preparing us for the path ahead. Remember, each breath is a lesson, a reminder that true peace lies within each breath we take. Let us practice counting the breath daily as a way to nurture and train the mind, so each breath brings us back to the present, to the peace that already exists. Then, as we gain a deeper understanding of the breath, we'll have the courage to face the transient body and move on to observing impurity, where letting go truly begins. Dear viewers, after finding peace in each breath through counting the breath, we are now ready to take the next step, observing impurity. If practiced wholeheartedly, this contemplation reveals the true nature of our bodies, transient, impure, and fleeting. We often love and care for our bodies, yet have we ever truly looked deeply into them to understand their nature? The body we perceive as me, the part inseparable from our identity, is, in reality, just an assembly of earth, water, wind, and fire. It is nothing but a temporary vessel, something we mistakenly believe to be enduring. But when we examine the body closely, we begin to see the impurity woven within every cell. Every drop of sweat, every cell that dies, the inevitable signs of aging, these all point to the impermanence and impurity of the body. Have you ever wondered what happens to this body when it ages? The smooth skin wrinkles, dark hair fades to white, and muscles gradually lose strength. Everything erodes over time, nothing lasts forever. The body that we have cared for and cherished is just a temporary shell, a raft that helps us navigate the cycle of birth and death. And when this body is no more, where will we be, and what will we carry forward? Observing the true nature of the body is not meant to instill fear or disdain, but to understand that the body is not a permanent refuge. We are born, grow, and must eventually confront death. In those final moments, even the body cannot bring comfort. Only insight and awakening within the mind can help us transcend the fear and pain of parting. Observing impurity is not a call to despise the body but an invitation to see its true nature and release attachment to it. Once we understand the body's impurity and transience, we can begin freeing ourselves from cravings and the illusions that pursue a perfect, unchanging appearance. Instead, we turn toward the true treasures, purity and peace within the mind. This contemplation guides us to embrace an honest view of our bodies, removing the confusion and attachment that lead to suffering. By recognizing the body as impermanent, we naturally turn toward more profound values, to things often unrecognized without deep reflection. As the moon illuminates everything in the night, observing impurity sheds light on the nature of the body. We realize that all attachments to the body only lead to suffering, like a fire flaring up when met with the winds of desire. Thus, we move forward to the next contemplation, cultivating compassion, where we learn not only to liberate ourselves but to nurture compassion and kindness for all beings. This body, regardless of beauty or age, strength or frailty, is not the place to invest our deepest hopes. True serenity does not lie within the transient nature of the body but rather within the heart of compassion, in sincere actions that extend kindness to all beings. Let's proceed on this journey, releasing illusions of the body, directing the heart toward freedom and eternal joy. After deeply recognizing the transient, impure nature of the body and gradually letting go of attachment, we are ready to embark on a new journey, cultivating compassion. This practice allows us to nurture love and extend boundless kindness to all beings, freeing ourselves from the confines of personal ego. Compassion is not only a virtuous quality but also a bridge connecting us to the world. When compassion blooms within us, worries and anger dissolve. We no longer see others as adversaries or as sources of suffering, but as companions in the flow of life, as fellow beings who, like us, endure hardship and seek happiness. Practicing cultivating compassion enables us to feel another's pain as our own and their joy as if it were ours. This is not simple empathy, it is a deep realization that we are all interconnected by invisible threads of karma and fate. None of us can truly experience joy if others continue to suffer. In daily life, we may encounter people who hurt us, igniting feelings of resentment or anger. But when we understand that these individuals are also suffering, that they too are struggling to find elusive happiness, compassion helps us overcome hatred, allowing us to open our hearts and forgive. The Buddha once taught that compassion is like a clear, flowing stream, ceaselessly bringing love wherever it goes, without distinction. When compassion resides in our hearts, we become like that refreshing stream, spreading peace and joy to all around us. The divisions of self and other, love and hate, dissolve, leaving only a boundless sense of love and acceptance. Cultivating compassion is a practice that extends unconditional love, not only to family and friends but to all beings. When we see an animal in pain, a child crying in loneliness, or an elder facing solitude, compassion inspires us to help without expectation. It is here that compassion is most natural, most genuine. Did you know that when compassion flourishes in the heart, it heals us as well? Resentments and anxieties fade away, replaced by calm and clarity. Cultivating compassion is not just about helping others, it liberates us from the burdens of selfishness and resentment, allowing us to lead a life of peace and happiness. Let compassion be the torch that lights our path, revealing the true nature of suffering and guiding us toward liberation from attachments and resentments. Then, as we extend love to all beings, we will find that compassion is not merely a practice but a way of life that brings peace amidst life's turmoil. Now, after opening our hearts to embrace all beings, we proceed to contemplating interdependence, where we deepen our understanding of the profound connection between ourselves, others, and all things in the world. Contemplating interdependence is the next step that helps us grasp the workings of interdependence, slowly releasing the burdens of the mind. Dear viewers, after experiencing a heart filled with boundless compassion, we now continue to contemplating interdependence. This practice helps us realize that everything in existence is transient, interconnected, arising and ceasing together. Nothing exists independently, everything is a result of interaction and connection with all around it. Consider a single leaf falling to the ground. This is not merely the end of the leaf but the beginning of a new journey. It decomposes, enriching the soil, which then nourishes the tree and supports new life. This simple example holds the essence of interdependence. Every phenomenon exists thanks to the causes and conditions that created it. Looking deeply at life, we see that nothing is permanent or unchanging. From our bodies and emotions to our thoughts, all are subject to the laws of interdependence. When we realize this, we understand that life is not random but a tapestry woven from countless causes and conditions. Every joy, every sorrow, every experience is shaped by our interactions and choices. Understanding interdependence also means seeing that everything around us, from our relationships to our possessions, exists within a web of mutual influence. This awareness helps us let go of rigid attachments, releasing expectations that bind us to disappointment and pain. Life, like waves in the ocean, constantly ebbs and flows. The people and moments that once touched us are like passing waves, leaving impressions but never staying. The Buddha taught that interdependence is the root of both suffering and joy. When we see clearly that all things arise from causes and dissolve back into causes, we let go of anger or frustration when things don't go our way. We understand that every experience, every encounter is part of the great flow of interdependence. Each pain has its source, and each joy comes from positive actions. Contemplating interdependence also reveals the profound effects of our actions. Every word, every deed shapes the world around us. When we plant seeds of kindness, we reap kindness. When we act out of anger, we invite suffering. Realizing that everything is interconnected, we understand that no one is alone. Each of us is a link in the chain of cause and effect, influencing and being influenced. This awareness helps us break free from self-centered thoughts, opening our hearts to forgiveness and compassion for ourselves and others. With this foundation, we move to the final practice, recognizing the ego, which reinforces our ethical foundation and allows us to act without error, keeping our minds pure and at peace. Recognizing the ego will show us how to keep the river of interdependence clear, leading us to a joyful, harmonious life. Dear viewers, after journeying through practices on breath, body, compassion, and interdependence, we now arrive at the final stage, recognizing the ego. This practice guides us in confronting our sense of self, leading to the profound insight of non-self. It is both a culmination and a challenge, as it requires us to face directly the concept of self, the identity we hold dear and often consider unchangeable. Have you ever questioned, who am I? Is the self defined by possessions, achievements, or even this physical body? Or is it a construct shaped by our experiences, thoughts, and emotions? Looking closely, we find that what we consider the self is a collection of many factors: education, past experiences, emotions, and perceptions. The ego is not an isolated entity but a product of interdependence, without any fixed or permanent essence. The belief in a permanent self often causes us to cling, to compare, and to suffer. We measure our worth based on external attributes, leading to pain when these inevitably change or fade. The concept of non-self, however, does not imply we don't exist, but that we do not exist as independent, unchanging beings. What we call I is a flowing stream, shaped by each experience, each breath, and each thought. Understanding non-self helps us to see ourselves as part of a greater whole, interconnected with the universe. Nothing truly belongs to us alone. Nor does anything exist in isolation. Recognizing this dissolves the boundaries between self and others, fostering compassion that is unconditional and boundless. When we deeply contemplate non-self, we naturally experience peace, free from comparison and judgment. It's not that we forget ourselves, rather, we let go of unnecessary attachments and illusions. Living with non-self means cherishing the present moment without clinging to past regrets or future anxieties. Let us reflect on our lives, all the joy, sorrow, success, and failure that has shaped who we are. These experiences contribute to the person we are today, yet none of them is truly us. When we understand this, we feel lighter, free from the burden of having to hold on to everything. Recognizing the ego is the final step in the Five Contemplations for calming the mind, helping us to see the truth of self and non-self. With this insight, we become more forgiving, both of ourselves and others, as we realize that nothing is fixed or separate. Life becomes easier when we stop viewing ourselves as the center of the universe, letting go of the need for control or for things to align with our desires. With a peaceful mind, a heart full of compassion, and an understanding of interdependence, impermanence, and non-self, our journey through the Five Contemplations comes to an end. But this is only the beginning of a deeper path of spiritual growth. One that leads us to a life of inner peace and harmony with all things. The Five Contemplations are not merely a set of practices, they are a way of living, guiding us back to our true, peaceful nature. Dear viewers, we have traveled together on a profound journey through the Five Contemplations for calming the mind, from focusing on our breath to recognizing the impermanence of the body, then opening our hearts in compassion for all beings. We explored the interconnected nature of all things and finally embraced the insight of non-self. Each practice is a unique lesson, yet each is also part of a whole, cultivating a complete and peaceful mind. In these contemplations, each practice has contributed to the refinement of our awareness, helping us see more clearly into the nature of suffering and the path to release unnecessary attachments. Through counting the breath, we learn to return to the present moment, finding calm in every breath. Observing impurity reminded us of the impermanence of the body, allowing us to release our fixation on external values. Then, in cultivating compassion, we opened our hearts to unconditionally love and accept all beings. Contemplating interdependence taught us to understand and appreciate our deep connection to everything around us. And finally, recognizing the ego allowed us to confront the illusion of self, helping us to live without being dominated by the ego. These practices remind us that the Five Contemplations are not just techniques for meditation, but a profound journey to understanding the true nature of life. Each contemplation teaches us to let go of our mind's fabrications, so we can experience life with a peaceful and unclouded heart. Thank you for joining Peace and Dharma. May these teachings bring tranquility and clarity to your heart. Remember to subscribe to continue receiving valuable insights and to walk together on the path of wisdom. Wishing you peace and mindfulness in every moment.